can always tell it's time for the meeting when everybody goes quiet. Welcome to the Tarrant Appraisal District Board of Directors meeting, our first meeting of the new year, so Happy New Year to everybody. At this time, you have come, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. At this time, we are going to live stream the meeting for the sake of transparency to perform the swearing in and the oath of office for the newly appointed members. And so these members have already filled out a conflict disclosure statement from the Texas Ethics Commission. And now they are going to open disclosure statement from the Texas Ethics Commission. And now they are going to open your maroon folder and fill out your anti-bribery statement, Form 2201. That must happen before you take your oath of office. And then next, according to Article 16, Section 1 of the Texas Constitution, requires all appointed local officers to take the oath of office and to subscribe to the anti-bribery statement before entering upon their duties. These local documents are retained in the Office of Records, that's this office. And if you would, you three that are swearing in, would you stand and repeat after me? Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Wendy Burgess,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I have not directly or indirectly
that I have not directly or indirectly
paid, offered, promised to pay,
paid, offered, promised, or paid,
contributed, or promised to contribute
contributed, or promised to contribute
any money or thing of value,
any money or thing of value,
or promised any public office or employment
promised any public office or appointment
for the giving or withholding of a vote
for the giving or withholding of a vote
at the election at which I was elected,
at the election for which I was elected,
or as a reward
or as a reward
to secure my appointment or confirmation,
to secure my,
whichever the case may be,
whichever the case may be,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Thank you. And the position which you have been elected or appointed is Tarrant Appraisal District Board Member. And I thank you so much. I will be passing around my notary book for you to sign, and you may be seated.
Congratulations to each of you. The anti-bribery thing is always a humor to me because all these people that say we get paid under the table, I always look, there's nothing ever there. So welcome to the three of you. At this point, I'd like to call Reverend Dwayne Adams from the St. Anne's Anglican Church in Lake Worth to lead us in invocation.
Thank you very much. A lot of times at this, these things, I would say thank you for the opportunity, but in this case, I don't want to be opportunistic and have anything approaching that violation of the oath that was just taken. But I do appreciate the invitation and the honor and the joy of praying for you this day. Let us pray. Father, you have said in your word that we are to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with you. And so my prayer for each of these board members is that, yes, in their deliberations, may they do justly. But also, Lord, may justice be tempered with mercy, and that each one may truly be touched by your spirit of grace in all of these deliberations, and the spirit of knowledge and a spirit of wisdom, that they may provide for the people of this county, that they may provide opportunities for the businesses of this county, and that we all may prosper together, and that we may be glad that these people represent us, may be enabled to live our lives in the pursuit of happiness as your creation. And to that end, Father, I pray for Rick and for Gloria and for Eric and for Matt and for Callie and for Joe Don and for Kezia, for Fred and Eric and Wendy. Lord, that they may all be recipients of your grace for the good of all of the residents and all of the businesses and people of Tarrant County. I pray these things through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
At this
God
point-
bless you, each and every one. Thank you.
very much. At this point, I ask Wendy Burgess to lead us in the pledges.
Please face the American flag and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the Texas pledge? Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. No real announcements from me, but a real quick agenda review. The agenda is what it is. We'll follow the agenda. There's two changes. One is on 5C, action items, resolution appointing the chair and secretary of the appraisal board. We're gonna pull that and do that next meeting. There's some information out of that committee that we need to clear up before we make those appointments. And then we do not anticipate having a need to go to an executive session today. So those are the two changes that are on this agenda that you have before you. The next item on the agenda then, this is our annual meeting to do our appointments of new board members. We've sworn them in, and now to elect a chair and a secretary of the TAB Board of Directors. And so I will open the board to discussions of a chair and seek nominations.
I'd like to nominate Rick Barnes as chairman.
Thank you. Is there any other nominations? Hearing none, that made that pretty easy. If I'd entertain a motion of acclamation for Rick Barnes to stay in as chair.
So moved.
It's been moved second, vote of acclamation. If you'll just raise your hands and she'll record. Okay, thank you very much. And
I'm
for
sorry, who made the motion? Thank you.
Eric, seconded by Fred.
Thank you.
And then for secretary,
I'd like to. I move that we appoint Callie Rigney as secretary.
is there any other appointments for secretary?
Make a motion for Fred Campos for secretary.
Okay. Let me catch up now. Any other nominations?
I'd like to move to nominate Kezia Farrar for secretary.
Okay, that's 3 out of 9. Any other nominations for secretary? So, hold on, Matt. Kezia was second. Fred was second. So I'll, at this point, then, we need to just deliberate and make a motion. So,
Well, okay, no, there is no comments, nobody has signed for that, so we're good.
okay. Yeah, discussion on this topic. I can wait it out.
I'll speak first. Kezia, I know you served as president of Mansfield ISD School Board, and one of the roles of the secretary in the absence of the chair is to run the meeting, and I think you'd do an excellent job at it.
Any other discussion?
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
I'll go, since I made a motion. I believe that Fred has been an engaged member of this board. I think that he has experience with HEB ISD, and I think that he would be a fantastic secretary and representative of this board in the absence of a chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to make a comment. So I definitely appreciate the nomination. However, yes, I have ran several meetings, but with me just being appointed today, I would not feel comfortable running a meeting in his absence. So I'm going to ask that I be removed from the nomination. But I do appreciate the nomination very much. Thank you.
Any other, anything?
Not much to say. Callie's doing well as our secretary. I see no reason to change it out for this year, so I'd like to stick with Callie.
Let me consult somebody.
Like, my feet aren't even wet.
Clearly, we need a majority of the board to appoint a secretary. At this point, then we will just simply vote. We'll vote in order of the nominations. So all in favor of Callie, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5. All in favor of Fred? And that's 3. So.
He's surprised. He didn't know.
So Callie, congratulations, returning as secretary of the board. Now that we know who's in charge, that helps us move forward. Next thing on the, and thank you for the support continuing as chair. I said last time, before we even had the election, that I thought we had a good board. Even if we don't always agree, we learned how to work together. Not always agreeing is actually a good thing. If we all agree upon everything, we don't need a board. We just can make decisions. A person can make a decision. And so I look forward to continuing to work, and particularly with the two new, Wendy, welcome back, and the two new board members. Look forward to working with both of you. We did a training with them, with our attorney, and I sat through that. First of all, I thought the training was a major step above what we went through when I came on the board. I felt like that one was a whole lot of, here's what you better not do or you might end up in jail. We still covered all that. We also talked about lots of other things, and I look forward to working with these two new board members because I think we've got two great board members coming in. So at this point, next thing on the agenda is first our report from our taxpayer liaison officer, Dr. McElveen. Welcome.
Good morning. I'm TLO Elizabeth, wishing you all a happy new year. One of my favorite sayings is timing is everything. So A, it's good to know who's in charge, isn't it? And B, we'll use our timing expediently, especially when I give these reports. But if you have questions, certainly I can entertain them. One preemptor to what your written information says. In December, there is a cumulative report due to the Office of the Comptroller. And as of December 2025, I submitted 237 detailed summaries of contacts made with my office. By great majority, most were successfully resolved. As you know, sometimes it takes some digging to do some other kinds of resolutions, and those do occur as well. So I don't want you to think that it was just a flip of a switch to resolve some. That's not true. But for most, it was readily available. Moving into December, and from December to January 2026, we worked more closely as timing dictates with the taxpayer, tax collector, tax assessor office in answering questions about some of the ways that the taxation is derived from the evaluations of property. And so that's always an area where that commands some questions. In a normal month, the most kinds of questions we have can be about exemptions. That's not true of December and January because of the taxation element that comes in by January 31st. So by about 60% or a little above, we had quite a few referrals to the taxation offices, followed by exemption questions. And many times exemptions can take a little bit of time to process, and so people are anxious about making sure those are finalized. So some of it is just answering to the status of what a homestead or a disability or an over 65 application might be, where those lie. And others are sometimes miscellaneous. You'll hear about some folks that have been paying taxes on a piece of property for years but haven't had the deed changed. And oh my goodness, we had a couple of those, so it does get down to some of those very evident, quite, to me, quite urgent areas to, well, let's fix this. So it runs a gamut. As you know, as always, some take some digging to fix, but at this time of year, usually that tax statement says a lot and bears a lot of weight and gets people motivated to get their obligation finalized by January 31st. So wish you well for a new year. 2026 presents some new challenges as always, but goodness, the energy in the room was wonderful. Good to see you again.
Any questions? Let me add a couple of little things. One is you're dead on the fact that once the bills go out, it wakes up a lot of people to what they thought they had coming, and so that's been a good process. But also something, and this is not tag related at all, it's definitely related to my other office. The Postal Service contacted us, well, Postal Service made a big change this year.
Yes.
Whenever you submit drop a piece of mail into your local post office, that's when it used to get stamped as received, and that's not happening anymore. Now it doesn't get stamped until it goes to the regional office, so, and that can be a matter of days. And so we've really tried to push the word out of our office that if you thought you submitted it by the deadline, but you submitted it on January 31st, it's probably gonna be late, because postal will not stamp it until 3 or 4 days later, and the postal stamp date is the date that tax offices look at. And so everybody needs to just be very, very aware of that. I would encourage you to think about that now, and I would encourage you to think about that on April the 15th. Whenever you file your taxes, the date is not when you submitted it to the post office anymore.
There's a way around that, Rick, because I use it all the time.
Okay?
You don't put a stamp on it, and you take it to them, and they have to print
They
the stamp.
it in.
I hand
Yeah.
stamp, yeah.
So that's what I do to get around that.
Yeah, we just know that a lot of people drop it in the local,
stamp
drop it in the
line?
mailbox, the blue mailbox
Just
down in
make
front of
them hand
Kroger,
stamp
and they
it in
think
front of
it's
you.
done, and that's just not, I wouldn't do that anymore with things that
information.
I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't use post office for anything important at all, but that's slammed on a federal office, so I'll be careful with that. But you just know that is issues out there, and so there's a lot of interesting things that start happening when people start receiving their bills, so.
Rick, this is like a workshop. I like this.
Yeah. We'll get a lot of
So-
stuff done today.
So that brings us right back to, good to know who's in charge, and timing is everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Joe Don Bobby, report from Chief Appraiser.
Yes, sir. Can you go to the next slide? Okay. We met with while that comes up, we met with what we call the Tax Agent Advisory Group. So we pick 4 or 5 of the larger tax agents that we work with, because we deal with, 250,000 protests a year, and roughly 180,000 of those are handled by tax agents. And so to work smoothly and keep everything moving and certify on time, we usually have a meeting with the bigger guys at first, and then we'll see what their concerns are. We'll try to address those concerns. Our topic this year was primarily conversion related, so we wanted to know if they had any concerns or insights as to True Prodigy that we're moving to, because that is in at least 20 some odd counties across the state, and so a lot of these bigger agencies, they've interacted with that system. The feedback that we received, they do like our website, and our existing process is a lot better than some of the other counties. And so we're trying to take those topics and have True Prodigy incorporate that and kind of development. That way, we kind of get the best of both worlds going forward.
Joe Don, who are those 4 or 5 bigger outfits that you had in?
We had Mr. Chandler Crouch was one of them. I don't think we had Onwell there. I think they might have been invited, but they didn't attend. Ryan Ray, the Olenek.
Olenek?
Yes, sir. Nick Olenek. I forget some of the other guys' names. Southland was there. There's a guy on the left. I forget his name. Ryan Tax.
Brent?
The agency is Ryan Tax Agency. And I believe that was it. we'll have
Thanks.
another meeting with agents that have more than 200 properties, I believe on March 31st. And so as we get closer to conversion, we'll meet with the rest of them, just let them know how it's different, the tax portals, where they can log in and file a protest. So as we get closer and know more of how everything's gonna work, we'll get with those guys. We met with the surrounding county tax offices, so most of what we deal with is the Tarrant County Tax Office, and we've been meeting with them on basically a monthly basis. And then we meet with Rick's staff on a weekly basis. On every Thursday, we have a meeting with them, I think at 3 p.m. to discuss conversion. And so this was to give these other guys kind of update that we're moving to True Prodigy. They're used to True Prodigy from the other counties that they interact with. So it was I think only Dallas was actually the only one that showed up. But they're actually busy this time of the year, so kind of don't really blame them. But we have an export of some files that we're gonna send to the other tax offices this week. Just kind of get them prepared. The school district property value study is expected to be released on January 31st. I think it's actually required by law to be released on January 31st. They're usually not early. So that'll be posted on the 31st. We'll review it on the 1st, and then we have an entity meeting on February 5th that's planned. And so at that point, we'll go over with mainly the school districts, the results of the property value study. And then we'll go over conversion and some other topics. And then we are going through the comptroller's method and assistance program right now, so they'll be on site in February. And so the PVS looks at our numbers and compares them to what the state thinks they should be at. The method and assistance program, they look at, are we following all the laws and regulations to make sure we're compliant with the state process and what the state requires. General update, so these are a list of our bigger contracts that are either multi-year or that due to the dollar amount we need approval from the board. And so these are basically the biggest ones that we just want to kind of keep y'all up to date on. These are our primary vendors that we're dealing with. On the next slide, conversion update. January 9th, so last Friday was the last day that we entered data into Aumentum. So at this point going forward, we won't really be using Aumentum. True Prodigy will be on site for 2 weeks as we prepare for training and configuration of the system before we have final go live. The planned go live is March 3rd. We expect that we'll be able to actually go live sooner than that, but that's what we expect, the website and portals and all the other kind of fun stuff to kind of really turn on for the public. If we can do it sooner than that, we will, but we have a little bit of cushion kind of built in just in case things happen. It's a very complex system that we're coming out of, and it's a very complex system we're going into, and they don't always line up exactly. So the staff have done an outstanding job converting the data into an intermediate database that then True Prodigy can then pull into their system. And so I'm very pleased with where we are at the moment. The planned go live timeline. So January 29th, we're originally planned to have 2025 converted, and then February 24th to have 2026. And then by March 3rd, we're trying to bring in all the prior years. Right now, we have all the years that we're able to export to the system. So right now, we're ahead of what the schedule is. We're already working on valuation pricing models, web portals, the appraisal notices. So we're kind of ahead on schedule on some things. But this, even though we go live, that doesn't mean conversion is complete. So we want people to realize that there are a lot of things that we will configure and we'll continue to learn and set up, but we're not done until really September when we have everything completed and we can certify the roll and get that to the tax offices. Right now, across all years, we're looking at $400 to $401 for the different tax years. So for 2025 and 2026, 2025 is we're off by $6, and that's taxable value. So an actual levy, that's rounds down to nothing. For 2026, we balance. For the prior years, we're off by $100 for the different entities. So overall, and that stuff I think we'll have fixed this week. And if we can't get it fixed in the conversion, we can fix it manually in True Prodigy. So we're pleased with the numbers. They've come down a lot from what we were seeing 2 months ago. On the expectation slide, just kind of want to set some expectations for the public and for the board. There had been discussion of parallel operations. The vendor doesn't recommend like true parallel where you do data entry in both systems. There's a lot of risk for human error. And so what we've been doing is doing entry into Aumentum, and then we take we export the data, we convert it, and we put it into True Prodigy, and then we make sure that it balances. Now, what we'll be doing, we're basically going to be flip-flopping. So now we'll be taking data, we'll be putting it directly into True Prodigy, making sure it still balances, and then making sure it's still, the historical roles still match what Aumentum had. So after we go live, we'll be exporting data from True Prodigy. We'll be putting it into our legacy property search. So when we go live, we'll have True Prodigy's property search, and we'll have the existing property search that people in Tarrant County are used to. And we'll run those side by side, so you'll have 1 year to kind of get used to the different property searches and where data is and kind of how to find things. But the old system will be deprecated. So once we get into the new system by August, hopefully the old system will go away, so we won't have to maintain that. Commercial values are very complex, especially the income model and how we value the income approach on commercial properties. And so it's safer for us right now to continue valuing the commercial properties in Aumentum and then exporting that data as we go through the ARB process and putting those into True Prodigy. It's not a direct import as far as how our schedules work. And so we'd either have to completely redesign our cost schedules or our income schedules for commercial, which would really be like a 1 year investment in time. And so as we've been doing software and data conversion, we haven't had time. The smart guys have been working on data conversion, not schedule conversion. And so we think that moving forward, this is the safest kind of hybrid path. And so we'll be able to take those values that we trust out of Aumentum. We don't, like personally, I don't trust the complete roll-up, but I trust the individual property values for commercial. Market and equity grids, we can run those in both systems for residential. And so we can, as we come up with values, well, we're rolling the values, is the current plan, but we can run current sales out of both systems and see if that generates the same market and equity grid. And so just to kind of double check that the new system isn't coming up with weird off the wall reductions or showing that we're way overvalued or way undervalued. And again, that should be safer for us as we can kind of compare the two systems. For the website, our homepage will remain mostly unchanged, so we're still going to continue hosting that internally. The new True Prodigy portals will be embedded, so we will have property search, which will come online in April, maybe March. The truth in taxation usually doesn't crank up until August, so that has all the proposed tax rates and current values. And then our appeal process. That will be new and it should be better in True Prodigy. Our existing TAD property search, like I mentioned earlier, that will continue to function until the end of this year. Agents will have the TAD portal, our existing agent portal, and they'll have the True Prodigy portal. The True Prodigy offers some new things that we don't currently offer, but ours existing website does offer some other things that True Prodigy doesn't offer. So it depends on how they want to work the properties, they can use either portal. And then taxpayers filing protest. We normally try to resolve things ahead of time, so when people first file a protest, they can come in and negotiate with us. And so if we can resolve that from the very beginning, then they'll be using our historical legacy system. And if we can't come to an agreement, then it will push them over to the True Prodigy system to actually create an actual protest and then continue the process through the True Prodigy portal. I think that's all I have. Oh, one other random thing, I didn't have the slide, this kind of came up. We're looking at, we've been interviewing different CPA firms, auditors. We have an audit company, but they're restricted on what they can talk to us about. So unless it's audit related, they can't help us with general financial advice. So we wanted to bring in another firm to help with financial statements, just best practices. As we moved into Paylocity, there's some journal entries that Paylocity set up that doesn't quite make sense to us. So we want this other firm to come in and look at it and make sure everything is straight and everything's good. There's some new income tax laws that we have to do with overtime compensation. And so Paylocity doesn't have that quite handled, and so we want to just bring in some experts to help prevent us from making errors. So that should be under $100,000, but right now, we're just interviewing those companies. So if the price estimate goes high, then we'll bring that back for y'all's approval.
One comment from me, January 9th was a great, great day that we got away from Momentum. It's a very good thing to move away from. So, and True Prodigy, just opposite. It's a very good organization to go to. So, that was a good day for us. Our staff in the tax office is also, I talked to them just yesterday about all this, and they're all happy with where we are. So things are moving along very, very well. And thank you to Joe Don and his team for helping us get there. Is there any other comments?
Yes,
questions?
absolutely. So a little tad history lesson. The last CAMA conversion initiated in 2011, and it didn't finish till 2014, and some would add it really never finished. It was never a successful implementation. So this looks like, let's not, we're not across the goal line yet, but man, we can't thank your staff enough, your rank and file that have been grinding away at this. I've been following since I'm on IT subcommittee. I'm very aware of the amount of stress that's been put on your organization, and I just want to say thank you to the rank and file, and then thank you to the leadership. You guys have been very transparent with us. For a while back in the summer, we had what we thought might be a hiccup, but we addressed it appropriately. And I just couldn't be more proud of you guys, the whole staff and leadership. Again, job's not completed yet, but I am very comfortable where we're at this moment.
I'm just going to add some echoes to what Matt and Rick have already said. This conversion is so important. The IT committee, as I've been told, may have been below the line. I've had Friday meetings with Brian every single week for the past 6 months, and even sometimes Joe Don will show up. I am so proud of the work that they've done. I mean, there were some of those meetings that were very ugly, and I'm so happy. I echo you, Rick, in getting off of Augmentum. It's 10 phases. We're through the first 2 phases, which make up about 70% of it, but we're still not out of the woods, but we're definitely in a good place, and I just can't echo what these gentlemen have already said. Joe Don, you and your team and Brian's team and IT have done a great job on this.
I have a question regarding the property value study. Do we have any expectations on school districts passing it this year? Do you anticipate us?
The last numbers that I had, the 3 that I was worried about, Carroll ISD, Fort Worth was on the fence, and Grapevine Colleyville was on the fence. And they're all recapture, so in theory, mathematically, they should be impacted less than the other schools that receive state funding. There still may be an impact, but it should be much, much smaller financially. But those are the 3 that could fall out and not qualify for grace. There's roughly half that may be in a grace period, and so we'd have until 2027 to correct those values.
If there is an unexpected failure from the comptroller's point of view, could you walk us through what would happen in that regard?
Once we get the results back from the state on January 31st, then the entities can file an appeal. They have to file the appeal even though they're my numbers. And then I can assist, but the board of directors has to authorize me. Their governing body has to authorize it, and then we could do the appeal for them. Or a lot of times they'll have their law firms that do their annual audits. They'll have them be the lead, and we'll just assist. And then it wouldn't require anybody's approval. It's just the audit firm is the lead. And then we would try to appeal. Any values or ratios that are extremely low, we try to get those kicked. And anything that we could attack, try to get the ratio up, we could. And hopefully they come back into grace.
I just wanted to confirm something. It's my understanding that recapture districts, if they were to fail the property value study, they would just pay less back into the state. So it's not, I guess, affecting their funding per se. They're just sending less back to the state.
Yes, ma'am, and that's primarily true. So what they would send back, it comes out like a collection loss, and so they're basically made whole for the most part. It's a very complicated formula. It could affect in other ways. What we had estimated when I talked to Carroll ISD was that we had estimated roughly around $100,000 impact in other aspects.
So it's my understanding that they're capped at what they can keep, no matter how much they send to the state. And so you're saying it would go below that and they would lose funding?
It gets really complicated beyond what I'm qualified to really discuss, because it goes into M&O, INS. There's other interest rates, and when they do bonds and other kind of impacts, there's other things that it could impact indirectly. But overall, compared to originally we were worried about Castleberry, it would have been $3 to $4 million potential loss.
Okay.
For Carroll, it's maybe $100,000, and that's our best estimate. But I'm not on that side of the table, so I don't have all the fun math.
I'll elaborate on that a little bit. So whenever they do their formula, it's literally about a 35-page formula.
Truth and taxation.
It's not a one page, you fill out 5 things and you get an answer. So every little bitty thing can affect it in different kinds of ways depending upon what the issue was. The other side of it though too is that, and this is where the comptroller's office gets involved, is that if it let's just use Carroll as an example, they always pay into the system. But if they aren't paying into the system effectively, then the system's not correct either. So down the road, you got a new problem. And that's when they come back to us and say, you've got to get them corrected to fix our system. And so it's the dominoes that are involved in what we refer to as education funding in the state of Texas are phenomenally large. Which is why I have consistently said that the issue is not appraisals, the issue is not taxing, the issue is that we have a extremely messed up school funding model in the state of Texas. But we can say that all we want until they fix it. And we don't fix it. It's never something for us to fix. It's reliant upon the legislature. I had a legislator tell me last year when we were working with the legislation that we, quote, quote, we need to fix the education funding model. And I said, you're using the word we way too loose, talking to me about that they in Austin need to fix it. And a reminder to anybody everywhere in the entire school funding model conversation is that the legislature didn't even write the current model. It ended up being written by the courts and by judges. And so we just got a mess, and that until they figure out how to fix that mess will continue. So, but to answer your question, I think that's why Joe Don can't just flat out answer a question like that simply because the formula is extremely long, extremely convoluted, and extremely confusing.
There's a 3-year look back, and so like when you talk to other organizations, they tell you, well, let's go back and look at 2022 to find out what it actually does, because there's so many numbers in TEA and PTAD that you don't know yet, that there's a lot of wild assumptions in there when we're trying to calculate this.
So I do have a quick question just to follow up on the property value study. So it looks like you're meeting with entities on February 5th. So can you walk me through what that is and what the intent of that meeting is?
Mainly it's to go over conversion, that way they know the totals are changing. So like the totals we get out of Aumentum, the entity totals, the format is changing a lot. So we want them to know this is what we used to provide them, and this is how it's mapped to the new reports. That way they can find all the numbers when they're doing the TNT calculation, the truth and taxation calculations. That way they know how much appraised value, how much is still under protest, how much may come on, be added to the roll in November, December. But that way they just know, compared to historically, what the new system is calculating. We'll discuss the results of the property value study, so that way once we actually know how many schools were affected and how bad they're affected, then we can discuss, like, do they want us to assist? Are they going to handle it on their own? To what extent do they want us to assist? The numbers come from us, and we have to assist in some extent.
Okay, and then is that something that you would typically bring back, like in February or our next meeting, and kind of discuss that with us at
Yes,
that
ma'am.
point? Okay, perfect.
We'll
Okay.
meet, I think, February 14th is the next scheduled meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Joe Don, just real quick, you said something really fast. I just want to clarify, and Eric's question asking about the PBS. You addressed the 3 that are currently potentially in trouble that deal with the comptroller's office, but you said there may be a bunch that go into grace?
Yes, sir. There were quite a few schools that our last ratios that we ran internally that were below 95% but above 85.5, so they would fall into that grace period. That's if the state agrees with the numbers that we generated.
Right, and then that'll comes out on January 31st, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Anything else for Mr. Bobbitt? The next thing on our agenda then is committee reports. Let's just start with IT because it came out of, a little bit out of that. Anybody from the IT committee want to elaborate further? Yeah, okay. Next, appraisal review board committee, Matt?
We're in good shape. We put off till next month, the appointment process, because we found a little glitch in the system that we need to address before we make this appointment.
Okay. Any questions on that? Next committee, budget, finance committee, Callie?
Nothing new to report.
Nothing new to report there. And board policies, nothing there. So those are committee reports. Next thing on the agenda then is public comments. First person on public comments, George Dotson. Hello, George.
Good morning, board members. Thank you for the opportunity to update you on my observation on the conversion software. So I will add just some of the things that have already been mentioned. I certainly have appreciated the opportunity to participate on the board's IT committee. As early as this past summer, as Matt and Fred already mentioned, the committee was very concerned about what we were told about the conversion process. In fact, we were told that at the current progress that we had at that time, the conversion would not have happened. In fact, not only would it not have happened, but it would have cost roughly another $1 million to operate the Augmented system for another year. The committee pushed very hard to make sure that the board was aware of what was happening. And what really was at the center of all this was the structure of the databases. The databases were so different, and especially because Augmentum was based on California appraisals, which really Prop 13, anyway, a big deal. But basically, the board funded $500,000 plus to get the assistants, special assistants, to help not only TAD but also True Prodigy. This was really, really essential, but I'm very, very pleased as a member. And as the other two have already mentioned, and Alan, of course, was our chairman, we knew that it would take significant effort of the TAD team in general to jump in and do work over and above what they've done, and we're so happy to see the results of that significant work. It's unbelievable that they have pulled it off. The added consultants did a lot on their part. The additional staffing at True Prodigy also played a key role. And certainly the role that the tax office provided, all of that coordination none of that was available back in 2011, 2014. It was just an absolute mess back then. I was very concerned early on, but as I started to hear the numbers getting very close, as we looked at the Augmentum and True Prodigy base, I became more convinced that the conversion would happen. Again, I thank the TAD team for their outstanding work, and the conversion would not have moved forward like it did without all this. Of course, the leadership that TAD provided was key to that, and like Fred, I spent a lot of time with Brian checking on what was happening. And again, I continue to look forward to seeing the new system going live. The results are going to prove very, very critical for better service for our citizens in Tarrant County. Thanks again to you, the board members, for joining in and providing the finances. You were also key in making it happen, and I appreciate every one of you and your involvement. So thank you
Thank you.
for that very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sayada.
Sayeda Sayed, 6705 Sapphire Circle, North Colleyville. Good morning and congratulations, Ms. Farrar, Ms. Burgess, and Mr. Krile. For the last 2 years, I know this person, we go all the meetings. A lot of things we agreed to disagree, and finally he's here. Congratulations. And on the lighter note, looks like our TAD board or the TAD employees tried to balance 2 Erics on each side. 1 Eric on each side.
It's going to be a challenge.
Eric or Eric, which one?
But at least I appreciate Mr. Krile. He's really hard worker, and not only that, I'm one of the biggest critic of him when we were running together. And I would say at least he is a property owner and a taxpayer of this county. I have a question with Mr. Bobbitt. Well, last year on October 10th, there was a plan to have a training program for entities employees to how to use the new software program. It's not done yet. The one you're talking about on February 5th is for finance people, not for the people who gave you the permits and all those different information from the city. And let me ask one more question. Last year when we were talking about, you said in new system, we are going to combine your account numbers. Combine the account number. If one property has 6 account numbers, it will show 1 account number. But if the property is delinquent in taxes, in any of the account number that is hiding under 1 account number, how can your office or the chief of tax assessor office get that information? So that's the explanation. If you include it when you have that presentation, that will be really appreciated, because that helps not only tax assessor collector office, but the entities as well on their side. So this means you are going to use old system and new system parallel for this protest season?
For commercial.
For commercial property, not for residential. And how about business personal properties?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay.
Sayada, that's time.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Crouch.
How you doing? Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Congratulations to Mr. Crowell, Ms. Farrar, and Ms. Burgess. And just want to say thank you to Mr. Blaylock and Mr. Alfred again for your service on the board. I do want to mention, we're talking about all sorts of upgrades and changes around here. There was an unbelievable amount of information and data on the TAD website about these different processes to fill the seats, and that is a major change from what we've seen in previous years. It's a little hard to find because I don't know, I probably access those pages a lot more than anybody else in the county, but aside from maybe the people in the actual election. But anyway, it's a huge thing there. Just wanted to say that. I'm sad to see the firefighters walk out. It's cool. I hadn't seen that many folks, that many firefighters in here. I was going to say hi to them, but let's see here. Just wanted to comment for a second on a couple comments that you made, Mr. Barnes. 2 things. The stamp issue is just so huge, and it's little simple things like that really cause people a lot of trouble. I appreciate you bringing that up. And then the other thing that you mentioned, just a little comment. I was talking with my son after the last meeting with Mr. Bryant, explaining how I appreciate Mr. Bryant just standing up for what he sees as truth. You do the same thing. A lot of people do here, and you were pointing out how disagreement is a good thing. If we all have different perspectives, that's what the board is for. And I just wanted to say thank you for saying that. I totally agree. The taxpayer liaison gave her report. I didn't do a great job putting together all my notes, and as she's talking, I'm like, dadgum. We've had a lot of interaction with TAD staff over the past month or so, and want to give credit where credit's due, of course, watching out which names I mention. But the agent meeting was a great thing, just to be able to get ahead of some of the issues. I think a lot of the commercial agents and other guys that have experience in other counties have incredible insight that can help you guys, and so I think that that's great. And I also commend you for taking the good that's part of the old system, incorporating that. That was a lot of concerns. Let's see here. One really cool thing is I got a stack of mail for notices that we didn't always see, and I don't know for sure if it was part of the legislation that I helped get passed with Representative Kraus at the time, but notices to let people know that they might qualify for a homestead exemption that wasn't on their property. In the past, they only sent out notices that benefited seemingly the taxpayer or the taxing entity. So I just wanted to mention that. The big thing, I don't want to bury this, half of the entities are failing the property value study. That's the big deal. I don't know for sure. I think that maybe the last time that happened was 2016. I was just going to say, probably going to be some negative press. Probably should prepare for what's going to happen beyond that, and that goes on his record. I want to see, he's been a soldier throughout this whole thing, and so I just want to see him protected and all this, or just given consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the speakers who signed up for public comment, so we'll move to consent agenda. On the consent agenda, we pulled C, appointing chair and secretary of the appraisal review board. I'm also going to pull D. We'll do that one separately. So we have action items, approving the minutes from the last meeting, pass a resolution, designate chief appraiser regarding hearing notices, and then E is New Edge.
Esri.
Sure, Esri, all that desktop stuff. And then F is authorizing chief appraiser to renew lease with Quadient Impress platform. Is there any questions, comments, or a motion to approve those?
There is public comment for 5D.
Oh, there is public comment on 5D. Okay.
Syed.
Syed.
Well, it's been pulled.
Oh, it's been pulled. Let me come back to
Yes.
that one. Yeah, I'll do that one in a
Motion
second.
to approve.
So I do have a quick question. Do we need to abstain from A because we weren't part of the board at the time of those meetings? Are we good to?
It's not required, it's preferential.
So there's a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended. Is there a second?
Oh, wait,
Second.
oh, no, second, but I have. a
Okay,
comment.
second, and now comments. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
I've already mentioned this, but I wanted to mention it publicly. I've requested that the minutes to the meeting in the future reflect who voted how and when, be consistent in listing how we vote, so the public has information that shows who is in favor or not in favor of something. So the minutes we have now, I'm for, but I would like in the future for them to reflect that information.
So noted. So you're not saying we go back to this one and update this one, we're just saying moving forward?
That's what I'm saying, but Mr. Krill has some other.
Okay, any other comments?
If possible, I'd like to pull the minutes, so I may abstain since I wasn't a member.
Okay, he's abstaining from the motion. So all in favor, is there any further discussion on the motion? Okay, all in favor, it's on your computer, you can abstain there. Vote for, against, or abstain.
Motion passed.
Oh, there's,
That was for all. That was for all. The last one is F, and so that's why it shows up, but that was for all except the pool.
yeah. All right, we'll deal with C at a later meeting. On D is a resolution to recognize and appreciate Mike Alfred and Alan Blaylock. They're both here with us today, and I wanted to read the resolution into the record. Ooh, hold on a minute. Yeah, there we go. And then we will present them. A lot of you come to the meetings, and that's great. I think the two of these are like, I don't know why in the world I would want to go to another meeting of the TAD board, but they're here. And so we'll recognize them in case they have other places they both need to be, which was what led to them not continuing their term on the office, on the board in the first place. A resolution in recognition and appreciation of service by Mike Alfred and Alan Blaylock, whereas Section 6.03 outlines the process in which populous counties appoint members to the board, TAD governing body as directors, whereas Mike Alfred was appointed by the governing bodies of the entities elected by the taxpayers of Tarrant County to serve as a volunteer member of the board of directors, and his term began on January the 1st, 2025. Whereas Mr. Alfred received votes from the cities of Arlington, Colleyville, Grand Prairie, Grapevine, Keller, Kennedale, Mansfield, North Richland Hills, South Lake, and Westlake. Whereas Mr. Alfred received votes from the following ISDs: Arlington, Carroll, Eagle Mountain, Saginaw, Everman, Fort Worth, Grapevine, Colleyville, Hearst, Euless, Bedford, Keller, Mansfield, and Northwest. Whereas Alan Blaylock was appointed by the governing bodies of the entities elected by the taxpayers of Tarrant County to serve as a volunteer committee of the board of directors, and his term began on January 1st, 2024, which he served in full. He served another term that began on January the 1st, 2025. Whereas in his first term of service, Mr. Blaylock received votes from the cities of Arlington, Forest Hill,
Wow.
Fort Worth, North Richland Hills, and Richland Hills. In his second term, he received votes from the cities of Arlington, Bedford, Fort Worth, and Grand Prairie. And whereas in his first term of service, Mr. Blaylock received votes from the following ISDs: Arlington's, Lake Worth, Mansfield, White Settlement, and Tarrant County College District. In his second term of service, he received votes from the following ISDs: Aledo, Arlington, Eagle Mountain, Saginaw, Everman, Fort Worth, Euless, Bedford, Mansfield, Northwest, White Settlement, and the Tarrant County College District. Therefore, be it resolved that this body formally acknowledges and extends its appreciation to Mr. Alfred and Mr. Blaylock for their outstanding contributions, exemplary service, and unwavering commitment to the people of Tarrant County. Further resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to both Mr. Alfred and Mr. Blaylock as a token of our gratitude and recognition, passed and presented on January 14th, 2026 by a vote of the regular board of directors of the Tarrant Appraisal District, and I move approval.
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations to both of you. Thank you, and we have something for you. We gave each of them microphone time at the last meeting, but I'm going to ask you both of them if they have like to say one more thing. And
3 minutes.
this is your one more thing. You have 3 minutes.
You know what? I'll let Chandler keep. Thank you. I wasn't prepared to say anything today, but I want to say thank you to the new board members, Kezia and Eric. Good luck. You are very well qualified, and I'm sure the existing members of the board look forward to working with you. To the board members that I served with, it was truly an honor. Joe Don, it was an honor to work with you too. Rick, again, like I said at the last meeting, your leadership is exemplary, and the board is lucky to have you as its chair. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Blaylock, this is your third round to say thank you, but go ahead.
I'd like to yield my time to Mr. Crouch. In all seriousness, though, thank you all so much for this recognition. It's really, truly appreciated. I want to thank you all for your service, and Eric and Kezia, I know that y'all will be great, and Gloria, Matt, Callie, Rick, Fred, Eric, Wendy, I truly enjoyed working with all of you. I think we had some great times, some great conversations, and I think we've done a lot of wonderful things for the taxpayer in Tarrant County to make their lives a little less stressful, a little easier when they interact with TAD, and we've gotten on a great path to ensure that we have good information and great data to share with them in the future through this conversion project. And Joe Don, I want to thank you and your team for that incredible effort that y'all have put in. It's been a ton of hours, a ton of work, and it is very much appreciated, not just by me and the board, but by the public. And they're going to really like what they see when this is all said and done. So thank you. Keep doing good work. Keep working well as a board, and keep on keeping on. Just thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you, and we wish you well. Okay, thank you for that. The next item on the agenda is we're at number 6, action items. So the first one is discussion. Oh, I'm sorry, Syed.
Oh, yeah, comment. I just want to say, for Mike, you did great when you were here as a TAD board. You did just such a great job. Although it's a very short 1 year, but he's very dedicated. I know him since 2024 when he ran for school district, and around this time I met him in Grapevine area. And Mr. Blaylock, for you, I would say congratulations. People should learn how to run for House District. He is probably, we'll see him on November ballot, right? Yes. Yeah, he's approaching there. So, and he does great with Forward City Council as well. So it's 2 jobs, such a wonderful people. Mr. Blaylock did great with the IT committee. That's what I heard with Mr. Dotson all the time. And of course for Fred Campos, but he's not leaving, he's here. So I wish you really good luck. And please fix all those messes that we talk about here about Austin. You are going there to fix it. Well, thank you for that.
Thank you, and believe me, I've had those exact conversations with him more than once. All right, next thing is action items. We're on number 6A, discussion and possible action to authorize the chief appraiser to negotiate an agreement with Enterprise Fleet for auto lease and management services, including notifying entities of budget amendment for additional line item for leased vehicles. This came forward to this agenda from a past meeting, and I'll just lay it out there for discussion.
Chairman, I have a statement.
Okay, go ahead.
As a board, our responsibility is to evaluate policy decisions through a full cost, full impact lens that considers fiscal stewardship, operational effectiveness, workforce stability, and public service delivery. While the proposed fleet vehicle model presents projected savings in isolation, the materials before us demonstrate that those savings rely on assumptions that do not align with the scale, geography, traffic conditions, or field operations of this appraisal district. The analysis shows that requiring centralized vehicle check-in and check-out introduces non-productive logistics time that directly reduces appraisal output without reducing payroll cost. Even under conservative assumptions, this results in thousands of lost production hours annually, translating into meaningful operational and financial impact that offsets any projected savings. In addition, several material costs that are not fully captured in the fleet proposal, including mileage overages, fuel variability, increased commercial insurance, which our chairman should know about, registration, unscheduled maintenance, internal fleet administration, and audit oversight, all of which remain the district's responsibility and materially change the cost equation. Equally important, this proposal represents a structural change of how field appraisal work is performed and compensated. This documentation indicates that replacing the car allowance would reduce total compensation for field appraisers, negatively affecting recruitment and retention, and increase liability exposure due to expanded district-controlled travel. From a governance standpoint, these are not incidental effects. They go directly to the district's ability to maintain service levels, workforce stability, and statutory performance during a period when leadership, attention, and operational focus are already heavily committed to a system and workflow stabilization. For these reasons, it is appropriate for the board to proceed cautiously, ensure that any decision reflects the district's operational realities rather than a vendor-driven model, and consider whether lower risk alternatives exist that address cost concerns without introducing productivity loss, workforce disruption, or added operational complexity. For this reason, I move that the board formally reject the proposal to replace the current car allowance program with a fleet vehicle model and direct that no further action be taken on this matter.
So there's a motion at the end of that. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Discussion now on that motion.
When we say no further action, what I hear there is that we endorse how we are managing our field time, and I couldn't disagree more. I want data. I want to geolocate all of our field appraisers, that time in the field. It's very easy. Use Life 360. It's very easy to monitor where they go, how long it took, and what the expense is. And then we get into, we need to keep salary, and expenses. This is outrageous that we are paying salary through commitments on, field rides. I think the no further action part, I disagree. I think we need to take action. We need to start collecting data immediately. And then as far as we're in a situation where we believe that we're calling expenses salary and we owe it to them, yes, let's address that. Let's come up with a plan. We don't want to lose employees. We want to be very fair with what they signed up for, but we've made a mistake. And again, having a system where salary, expenses are expenses, there's no negotiating on this. This is wrong. This is bad practice. We're a stinking fat government entity for doing things like that.
This is common practice in appraisal districts across the state.
And I will tell you, of the 254, there's not a lot of them I would agree with.
There's 253 appraisal districts across the state.
Got me. And again, the fact that everyone's doing it is just not good data for me.
Any other discussion or amendments?
So just to add to the discussion, so I'm kind of in the middle here. First off, it's an interesting idea. It uncovered a lot of things, uncovered the way we pay our employees, that salaries tied to car allowance, some good points that you make, Matt. This as it stands probably is too disruptive for what we're doing, but the idea of being open to how we can save money and do things is something to consider. But as it stands right now, and with the things that we're involved in right now and affecting salaries of people that are currently in CAMO and space issues and other things, I'm totally on board with the slow down issue, but I also get, Matt, that it's something that we should look at a little differently maybe in the future.
So I brought this item to the board, and I wholeheartedly disagree with your assessment that it's based on assumptions. We use this in Colleyville, as George Dotson knows. We were able to add and update our fleet while saving taxpayers money. And I'm just open to discussion on how we can do best to, I mean, we are taxpayer funded, we're not a private business. I've never seen someone so opposed to saving taxpayers money. And so trying to silence us is not okay. But I mean, it's a great program. Keller uses it, Colleyville uses it, I'm sure many more. I wasn't here last time because I was sick when this was originally discussed. But I think that we just need to ask some questions on ways that we can save money and how we move forward with this.
Respectfully, ma'am, we didn't discuss it last time when you were sick, out of respect for you.
November 12th.
So we'll,
You
and
discussed it because you
the entities
were
that
very
you speak
hateful to
of
the
do not
presenter.
cover 904 square miles.
Bounce around.
Okay, so I agree a lot with what Mr. Ocampo said. I think it's something that we definitely need to look at. Just when I was looking through the presentation, I was quite surprised how the pay structure was also lined up. So I would like a lot more data as far as how many employees or even have a car allowance, data and how they're filled. I mean, it's very standard practice to track vehicles. We do it with our own vehicles in our fleet, in our personal business. So I don't want to not continue to have this conversation. I think it's definitely something that we need to look at. The other thing that concerns me is how do we phase this out? I understand that employees have made a commitment to make car payments. So if we can talk to other entities that have implemented this and see how they were able to phase out, I don't know. I don't have an answer for it, but I think it's definitely something that the conversation needs to continue.
Mr. Crowell.
Yeah, I have a couple questions looking through the contract, and some of the math I don't quite understand. So under the current reimbursement, they're using the number 12,115. Does anybody know where that number comes from or what that number is?
Where are you at on the?
It was in the enterprise
Okay.
synopsis. But I don't know.
I guess the answer is no.
No.
Okay. Under total annual cost, in year one, the presenter has 248,130, but then in year two, that number drops by the 12,115. And so I'm wondering why the annual cost, the difference from year one to year two? Anybody?
I don't recall.
Okay. I think saving taxpayers the money is a excellent idea. I do have some concerns, and I think some of the concerns that were brought up at the last meeting was, one of the big things I think is the storage function. I think there's some ideas, I think it's a good idea, but I think we need to flesh it out a little bit better and maybe slow down with it. The other question I have is, this is a 5-year contract. Is there an early opt-out in it?
I know we can sell the vehicles, like they'll advise us when we should sell them based on the depreciation of the vehicles, how many miles we have on them. I don't know if the contract would opt out. Normally, we would require that as a funding out clause. With it being vehicles, I'm not sure. I'd have to get Matthew to review it.
So with it being a 5-year contract, my question to you would be, do you see the appraisal district doing business the same way 5 years from now that it is today, specifically to infield appraisals?
We would look to be more efficient going in the future, either through aerial photography, some other software and technology that we could use. Personal property, there's a lot of change that has happened to personal property. So right now there's 60,000 properties that they have to go physically look at. But with the new exemption, $125,000 will be exempted for personal property. So it reduces the need for us to go out and look at as many of them, but we still have to see them and put them on the roll because it's just an exemption, like they still have to be there. But it could reduce how much time we have to spend looking at them. So there's a lot of things that could change and that we want to make more efficient.
Yes, ma'am.
My thought is that perhaps we don't reject the idea, but we reject
Right.
this proposal.
That's what it was rejecting this matter.
And the reason is, I have multiple reasons. One is, the way this was presented, to me, had a lot of flaws in it. Why are we only looking at enterprise? Why weren't we looking at other places? You talked about the hostility. She was hostile to us. If you want to come to somebody and ask for them to take your business, you don't talk to them that way. Then we scheduled a meeting so that we could get further information. I was not going to be able to make it. There was enough people interested that were going to make it, and then at the last minute, they changed the time. So how bad did they want our business? We have to adjust to them. If that's the case, then what are they going to do to our employees with the fleet? Oh, sorry, we don't have time for you. That's what I'm getting from this company in particular. So I think we should reject them, because this is not a good presentation. This is not a good coming up first impression. Not the idea, just this
Dealt with
company.
them from a government entity aspect.
I'm just
and
telling you,
they
this
have-
is
Wait,
my
wait, 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 wait,
perspective.
just one at a time. Go
This
ahead.
is my perspective. I don't see any benefit in going with this company, and also I think we need to slow down. We're not a big entity. When you talk about a city, there's a whole lot more employees there than there are here. There's only 200 employees here. So we're not talking about a great big entity. The other thing that was alluded to but not mentioned was these employees are using their personal vehicles. If they get in a wreck, the expectation is they're gonna be here tomorrow and still do their job, unless, of course, they're injured. But we don't have that expectation. If they tell us, well, we don't have another vehicle for you, or the vehicle's gonna be in repair for 2 weeks or whatever, we don't have that. The onus is on the employee right now to accomplish their job. And so I don't see any benefit in moving this quickly for anything of this nature. I don't think we're of the size. I don't think we've discussed any other efficiencies that we could address. This may have brought out things that, as Fred addressed, but I think this company is not the company I would like to go with.
Let me interrupt the conversation just a minute. Restate your motion, just the motion part of it, because we have a motion on the floor, and I think we're off.
Okay. I move that the board formally reject the proposal to replace the current car allowance program with a fleet vehicle model and direct that no further action be taken on this matter, this action item.
So the question from me
So
would
we
be
can
is
do
that
other
if
things.
there's any statement of that that's concerning, we would entertain amendments to that motion. But that is the motion. So I was wanting to just realign us back on that motion versus.
So
What-
on this
what we
matter
would be
just pertains to the
To
enterprise.
this matter at hand, the matter that is on the agenda. Yes, sir.
That she wants to stop discussion on that.
Would that mean that we can no longer further discuss leasing vehicles, or is it just specific?
Just
No, but
for
if you,
this
and if
one.
you wanna clean that
I'd like
up, just
to-
say that in the enterprise proposal, if you need to say it that way.
What I don't want to do, though, is limit Enterprise from being able to present something different to us. So I just want to make sure, if we're making a motion, that we're not specifically shutting down Enterprise rental car.
I didn't put enterprise rental car in the motion.
But I think they're the vendor that we're discussing right now. So I just want to make sure that it's clear that they can still come back with a proposal to
Does
us.
this require a vote?
Yeah, it's an action item. Or not vote on it at all, just let it die.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too, if this even, I mean, can this be tabled and then come back once
got a
we
lot
have
more work.
additional
Tabled
more?
it before.
We can table it indefinitely and not pull it back on the agenda until somebody moves to remove it from the table. Is one
I'd like
way
to make a
forward.
motion to table it. to
I'll
for
second.
future date.
So wait, we
We
have a
already have a
motion on the
motion.
floor right now.
Okay,
So we gotta
need
do
to vote on
something
that.
with that motion first. So,
Well, I just made a motion to amend her motion.
so you're.
what I did.
Okay, well, okay, you gotta say that.
That's what I said. I did say that.
So you're amending her motion to a
Correct.
table, to instead of whatever you said at the end of yours, this is, man, it'd be so cool if we had this up on a screen to just read. That instead of
Formally rejecting the
Instead of formally rejecting, we're gonna
proposal-
table this motion, that motion. Okay, till a further date. Okay, is that what your motion was?
Yes.
Okay, good. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Discussion on the motion to amend.
Yes. The little itty bitty piece of discussion is, Joe Don, could you please prepare the cost to geolocate all field rides for this calendar year? Can you come
Okay.
back?
Yeah,
We can, this is comment, I want you to hear it loud and clear, though. And if anyone disagrees with that, I would love to hear it.
Yeah,
Right, I don't-
I'm gonna say that that's not germane to the motion that's on the
That's not.
table, but
It wasn't-
we need to, I think that's after the effect. So I'm with you.
Fair enough.
Because I think the other thing that would be with us on this, I'm not want to confuse this, I want us to finish this and then move on. Not move on, but move to the next level of Robert's rules. But is that, I think we need to have a open conversation about how this affects employees who have been receiving a car allowance, who go and get a car loan with that car allowance, and now we're also gonna suddenly tell them, hey, we aren't gonna continue to give you that car allowance. That, to me, is an issue that's also
Right.
come up, and I think still a legitimate issue.
Mr. Chair, so I have to decide whether I accept the motion, the change to my motion, is that correct?
No.
Per Robert's Rules of
No.
Order, or?
In
You've
Austin,
already-
Texas,
you've
that's how we
already
operate, but
seconded
that's not how we operate here.
Super.
So there's a
super.
motion and a second
Okay,
to amend.
So we
Is-
just do that a lot.
Yeah, is there any further discussion on the amendment only right now? Hearing none, all in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
And Julie, are you catching up with us?
Yes,
All
sir.
right, good.
8-1.
Motion carries, the
Passed.
one
voting was
dissent vote was
Oh, you
Wendy.
did, okay, excuse me.
Now we're back to
7-2 passed.
Now we're back to a main motion, which says we're gonna table this indefinitely. Any discussion on that?
I thought we were doing the table.
Hearing no discussion on that, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now, we have a really cool system that's supposed to do all that, if you can just fix the cool system for our minutes.
It's working, I just need you to give me when
Okay.
you want me to send it.
All right, good. All right, that was item number A. We got 3 more items, and I hope they're all that fun. Action item CB is request for waiver of penalty and interest from Arlington ISD. Who's got the presentation on this?
We do have speaker requests or public comment.
There is public comment on this one from, is that Noberto?
Norberto.
Noberto, or,
Rivas.
from Arlington. Come on up.
Good morning, Board Chair Barnes, Board of Directors and Chief Appraiser. Towards the end of the calendar year 2024, we had an update to our accounts payable email address. That was evidenced in some of the emails that are attached, because the first 2 quarters in 2025, we were receiving invoices to the new email address. So this quarter, this quarter in question is regarding the third quarter, the one for the bill in September. So that one was sent to the outdated email address, which had been turned off in 2024. But by October 9th, we received an email to both the new and the old email addresses with penalties and fees. So we immediately collaborated with TAD leadership. We addressed it. We mailed in the payment. We did change an internal process to make sure this wouldn't happen again. I do understand that the allocation letter does say that invoices are sent as a courtesy. And I also understand that penalties and fees are assessed and that they're prescribed in code. There's also numerous ways of how our district can spend $32,000 in an educational setting. Ultimately, these are taxpayer funds, and they will remain for the benefit of taxpayers regardless of whose books they're ultimately on. But I'm here to just respectfully ask that a consideration be made that the fees be waived. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. That was our one speaker request on this.
Ms. Syed.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, all right, good. Well, I can see it now. Syed.
So this is very common, I would say the most common mistake done by appraisal district, using old email address, new email address, old mailing address, new mailing address, and it's not only for TAD, but for other appraisal districts as well. I will give you several examples. They receive it with stamp and date and everything, and still sending the notices to the old address. That's for the address. But for especially this penalty and interest, I would say, yes, I am very much against
to waive the penalty and interest for the entities, but every case stands alone. The board of directors are here to look into the evidence before making any decisions and paint with one ink, one brush to all the cases. So please look into it, deep dive in the case, and then make the decision. Sometimes genuine mistake or something missed by either by entity or by a appraisal district or any other party. If you use just one stroke for everything, that's not gonna work. Please look into it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
for the sake of discussion, I'd like to move that we grant the waiver of penalty and interest from Arlington ISD.
It's been moved that we grant the request for P&I on item B to Arlington ISD. Is there a second? Hearing no second. I would like some one piece of explanation. When I read their letter, so where am I reading the part that it was sent to a different email than normal?
Will you entertain discussion while you look for that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I think this is the issue we've addressed in the past 13 months that I've been on the board more than anything else. I had a very unpleasant conversation with my CFO at HEB ISD when they fell into this category. I think we've discussed this to no end. I believe efficiently run school districts know the rules pretty well. They're in a cycle. And I think we have to establish rules and set an example for our taxpayers. I feel like we've addressed this issue 4 or 5 times, and I feel like we have to draw the line. So I appreciate, believe me, I appreciate Arlington ISD situation. I would expect it. Like I said, I had a unbelievably heated conversation with Dobie and HEB when they did this. I don't understand why this is continuing to happen, and I think we have to. We've established the rules for this. We've said it. I know notice is important. I know this is controversial, but I say that we stand by this.
Well, while I agree in general with what you're saying, TAD has acknowledged that they were in error in not sending the bill to the correct email address. And I believe probably would have happened had we been last year. They would have waived it for them. But the fact of the matter is that they did pay it late because they received the bill late, and automatically that created the penalties. And our chief appraiser does not have the authority to waive those. So we had to bring it to the board for our approval. So I'm gonna give you my take on why this happened, and it's because during this period of time that all these errors were made was when we were having glitches with our computer system. And I believe this fell in that hole. And so we are partially responsible for this problem as well as the school district. And that's why I have asked for this to be waived, because we have to acknowledge we made an error. And I think this fell in that hole when we found all those errors before and they had to be fixed.
That was what I was looking for. Can I come back to, can I ask Mr. Bobbitt to elaborate on what happened with the email?
So the first 2 quarterly payments, the invoices, we did mail to the new email addresses. For the 3rd quarter, we somehow reverted back to the prior year's contacts. And so we did send it to the wrong address, or a no longer valid address at Arlington ISD. I don't know why that email address got picked up and used, but it did.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Chief Appraiser, I know that I've asked you this question in past meetings, so I'll ask you again so the current viewing group can hear. When you send at the beginning of the year, you send a notice to the entities, You tell them what is due in quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. If I receive that as a taxpayer, and I paid something late, Rick's office is not going to say, okay, great, no problem, Wendy, because they gave notice, you gave notice saying this is due in quarter 1, 2, 3, or 4. I would put in my QuickBooks or whatever, pay this by this date because it's a stagnant number and I know it in advance. And you don't have to send me an email to remind me that I owe this amount on this date. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I don't believe there's a requirement to send
And that's
quarterly invoices.
equal
but-
to all of the entities, not just certain size. It's equal to all the entities that are paying.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
May I?
thank you.
Yes, sir.
To that point, and the point's very well made, should we consider not sending this quarterly reminder because it's not necessary per tax code, correct? It's a burden it takes our time, and it's useless. Doesn't always work. So I would recommend and I have some leadership here, that we stop sending to all the entities the reminder. We're gonna send per tax code, which Wendy, what a perfect explanation of what goes out. And I will tell you, the taxpayer throws up in their mouth when they hear, just this one time, because formerly Miss Burgess' office, now Rick's office, they don't wanna hear it.
They're
They
not
don't-
allowed to. We're not allowed to.
Yeah.
As Wendy well knows, our office cannot do
Cannot.
it. The Commissioners Court can. I don't remember, can somebody remind me what the code says about what he can or cannot do?
He can't provide the waivers. We actually did a
He takes
resolution.
it to the board.
Said he could,
But we can.
yes.
Right.
It's identical to my office. I can't, but the Commissioners Court can. He
Right.
can't, but this body can. And so the question is still out there on how to best
For
handle
a good
this one.
and we had established for good cause in a past meeting.
Yeah. I just wanna lay it all out there. I think where I'm struggling a little bit, honestly, is that if it when you have a problem that continues to be a problem, you gotta eventually admit you got a problem, and you gotta fix the problem. Not just say, well, it's not our problem, cause I don't know that it's not our problem. It's we're all in this game together of working cooperatively with our entities, in my case, working cooperatively with the taxpayers, and if we had a constant problem with taxpayers not paying their stuff on time, I think I would hear from people like Mr. Crouch in my office to say, you've got to figure out that you've got a problem that we can't cooperate with, or it's at least causing us headaches on our end, and we would have to say, well, I don't know, we can't do much about it, but you can certainly call Austin. In this case, our chief appraiser could say, we don't have a problem, but you can certainly call the board. And I think it's on the board's level right now to answer this. Either we're gonna say, tough luck, we know we have a problem, but tough luck, it's y'all's to deal with, or we're gonna acknowledge that we actually have an issue that we need to address on our end. Mr. Crowell?
Yeah, question for Chief President.
You and Eric will always be Mr. something, the rest of everybody gets, yeah.
Thank you. How many times has Arlington been late since you've been Chief Appraiser?
I don't have that with me.
We had a report once.
It was in one of the past meetings. I'd have to look it up.
I don't think we ever have.
I know the appetite on this board, it appears to be not to waive, but the statute does say for good cause, and I think at some point this board needs to decide what good cause is. So I think it would be right for us to have a discussion in the future, for us to set some policy for what good cause is, because we did make this mistake. And so there's a caveat, right? If we amend the budget, then we would have to send a notice to the entity saying the budget has been amended and you need to amend your payment. And so I think it's like anything. You charge your credit card bill, and we all know we have to pay it, but people depend on that statement as a reminder. And the other thing I'd like to say is I I had asked the chief appraiser to reach out to surrounding counties and ask how other counties handle it. And we see that some waive it, some don't waive it, and then some have a grace period. And so I think it's something that the board should consider going into the future, because we do have a problem, or this is a problem that continues to pop up.
Can I add one more thing?
Yes, ma'am.
I understand what you said, Matt, and I agree with you on that. But if our common practice has been to send the bill to them, then it's still, we've created the common practice. So we either remove the common practice and inform them when we send that initial information, or we need to make some adjustments to how we're doing this. And like I said, Tad acknowledges that they sent it to the wrong email address and didn't discover it until they finally realized, and they actually sent it to both the wrong email address and the new email address to try and make up for that. So, I mean, we made an error as well, and it has been common practice to all the entities to do. Now, if they had received the bill and failed to pay it, I would say deny them the waiver. But that's why I'm saying in this case, we also made the mistake. And if, I'm with you on going forward in that direction, but we've already sent out the bills now, and then when we send out the initial ones for this coming year, we can put that on there. You will not be receiving quarterly reminders.
So Gloria, on looking at the second, third, and fourth quarter emails, the additional staff that was put on there was different on every single quarter. So their entities are always going to have staff that changes. And if I speak from my old job, you know, we tell the taxpayer it is your responsibility to keep a current address or name on file with the appraisal district.
They did. They did. We failed to keep it going that way, because their first few bills that they received, they went to the correct address. And then all of a sudden, and that's why I said we had that glitch with the computers, and it seems timing-wise it was at the same time, then it reverted to the old email address.
So they have a new, a new
Yeah.
person in charge every single quarter?
No.
Well, there's 3 different people.
Some of them are their people, some are our people. I have copies of all the emails that
I
were
do.
sent.
AISD.net.
I've got even further back to that,
Okay.
that shows they
Go ahead.
were sending it to the right
I
place.
too noticed that there were different AISD email addresses on there, so my question was, why did they not notify accounts payable? That would be my first question. And I honestly, I'm gonna be honest, I was really on the fence about this when I was kind of reading through everything, because I'm like, if it was sent to the wrong email. But thank you for explaining that the bill is sent at the very beginning of the year and as a courtesy. So, I mean, that kind of changes things for me. I mean, if they were not notified at all, then I could definitely see how this could be our mistake. But with the additional email addresses on every single email, and I don't know who those people are within Arlington ISD, but I'm assuming those were given to the appraisal district by somebody. So, yeah, thank you very much for explaining that. I appreciate it.
I would suggest, Joe Don, on your entity meeting on the 5th, that probably have some slides to address this, so that the entities are heads up of where we are going forward.
Yes, sir.
So we still have an action item on the table. We have no motion on the table. Is there?
I'd like to make a motion.
Yes.
I move that we reject the request for P&I waiver for Arlington ISD.
We move that we reject the P&I request for Arlington ISD. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Further discussion on that motion?
I just think it's a responsibility of the entity to make sure they know when everything's, since it's originally sent out, the payment schedule. If I miss a credit card payment, they don't care if I didn't get a reminder or something in the mail. I know when it's due every month. So, you know, we've talked about this a lot, and we did grant waivers in the past because our common practice did change. And that's where we felt like we needed to notify them that things have changed. And so, I don't think people are gonna be on time unless there's a penalty or any kind of consequence. And so, moving forward, I think we'll find that there's a lot more payments that are made on time if they take responsibility for when their payment schedule is, regardless of if we send a courtesy reminder or not.
Mr. Kraut?
Mr. Bobbitt, what happens with the money when they pay the penalty and interest?
Any excess funds have to be committed by the board to a particular purpose. Otherwise, typically, any money we receive gets reallocated back to the entities.
And is there an enforcement mechanism in the law if they don't pay?
Not that I'm aware of. Matthew could answer, but I don't think there's really a super big.
I think the enforcement mechanism is the penalty, but even if they don't pay, we're still under a legal obligation to deliver them an appraisal roll and all of that kind of stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the credit card example was given. I have great credit. If I miss a credit card payment once, I pick up the phone, I call them, and I say, I need you to grant me a waiver. I've been great. I've never paid late. This is the first time in 20 years or whatever, and they grant it to me. So credit card companies also grant waivers if you're in good standing. So I've done it before and continue to be in good standing. So I don't accept that as a you didn't pay, so therefore you have to pay this, unless your credit's bad and you do it consistently.
Gloria, would you recommend that the tax assessor collector office follow what you're describing?
I don't know enough about that office to make a statement.
He legally can't.
Yeah, it's a whole different world. Is there any further discussion on the motion?
Real quick.
Yes.
I'm not really sure, because we're talking about maybe bringing up this discussion again, which I'm just really, unless we're going to discuss, like, I can't remember who mentioned it earlier, not even sending these notices anymore. I just don't even want to entertain that thought, okay? I'm not sure what else we can do to get the point across. I thought the previous discussion settled the issue. That was my understanding. And now we want to come back and have a discussion again. It's very clear to me, there's always going to be a reason. I don't really think it matters what we do. There's going to be someone who's going to be late. There's going to be a reason. To be quite honest, I don't even buy this reason. I don't. Like at my job, for my department, we have an email group for my department. If I get removed from that department, leave to another employer, whatever, my department's still going to get those emails that was intended to come to me because it goes to the email group. I mean, there's easy fixes to this problem when employees change. And I could have sworn the last time somebody brought a waiver to us, a city brought this to us a couple of meetings ago, they made a similar excuse, a similar explanation, give or take. So I'm just not okay with this still coming up. I don't really want to entertain the discussion again. We've made it very clear, no more. It's been in the media. I mean, I just can't think of anything we could possibly do to get the point across. No more, okay? We heard all the excuses over the past year as to why, varying different reasons, which there were some valid reasons. We fixed those, we forgave it, we rectified it, and we made it clear, no more. I don't know what else we can do to get this point across. The only thing we can do is just reject this and again tell all the entities no more. I don't care what the reason is. We've made it very clear. We've had this discussion to extreme lengths, and we forgave it before, and we made it clear no more. So, no more, no more.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we will vote on the motion to deny.
So the motion is to reject.
Yes. Motion carries 7-2. Thank you for that. I am going to encourage Mr. Bobbitt to come back to us with a plan of action moving forward. If we want to say this is our plan of action, that is okay. I think we have recognized that there's a challenge in getting, if it's happening every single time, there's something we need to talk about, and I don't know what that is right now. And it may be very much that we go to old school. I tell you, the reason we're able to say it very bluntly in our office is that we do not send email bills to the taxpayers. We send paper bills to the taxpayers. If you choose to take email bills from your American Express, that's a choice you make. In this case, we're making the choice to use email, and email can be a mess. And one of my proposals, maybe we go back to doing paper mail, on bills only. But, well, I'm gonna ask Joe Don to come back to us with a plan of action on that. That motion failed, Arlington will be expected to pay the P&I. Number 6C, authorize chief appraiser to spend committed reserve funds for additional services related to appraisal software for 2005 tax year. Mr. Bobbitt. I'll let you.
So, there's, the next two are related. They're both with XTR. Originally, the board authorized us to, contract with XTR up to $100,000. They were helping us convert the data. They are experts in Aumentum, and so they were helping us extract data out of Aumentum, put it into a normal format that was used across the state. In December, I think we were around 60 to 80,000 that we had already been billed. So we asked them for an update on like how much have we spent, how much is still pending, and how much do you think to get through the end of the year? And their estimate was like 105,000 to get through the end of December. And so that exceeds what the board had originally authorized us to spend. But given the nature of the conversion and the priority of it, we went ahead and committed the hours. And so I think the last bill was actually 110,000 that we received through the end of December. When we wrote this agenda item, I put in 115 just to give us a cushion, but I think it's 110. The next item is related because it goes into 2026 fiscal year, and so we're using a different fund source, but because it's basically the same item, the same function, with purchasing requirements, we didn't want it to look like we're splitting the cost of two different things across two different fiscal years and exceeding the $100,000 purchasing limit. And so we wanted to bring that both at the same time to the board, saying that right now we're estimating we'll need $45,000 for continued work with XTR to help more so with configuration of TP, some letters, reporting that we have to set up. I think 45,000 is more than what we'll actually need. I think it'll be less than that, but we didn't want to have to come back a third or fourth time with this company. So we think this will be enough to get us across the hump.
Motion, is there a motion on, let's take them one at a time, though. C? I'll make the motion.
Motion.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion, I made the motion, Ms. Burgess seconded. Any discussion on C? All in favor, we will vote on the screen.
I'm sending it right now. Ms. Rigney, I'm not seeing your, oh, there it goes. Motion carries.
Motion carries unanimously, and then I'd move to approve D as well.
Second.
There's a motion and approval, and a second on approving of D.
Who was the second on that?
Fred.
I heard two voices. Okay.
Any discussion on D? Please vote.
And I'm sending that right now. And motion passes.
Motion carries unanimously. That's the only other thing on our agenda for today. Is there any further items of interest? Our next meeting right now, yes, ma'am.
It's February 18th. I
Oh,
just wanted to
18th.
clarify that.
I was hoping we didn't have to bring Valentine's to everybody on the
Yeah.
14th.
The 14th is a Saturday.
So
I thought it was
romantic.
Wednesday.
So the next meeting, as of right now, is scheduled for February the 18th. We'll be making formal announcement about that within context of the law. Any further discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
It's been moved that we adjourn with a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much for being here today, and we will see you in February.